square with what you've often said, that nobody could have predicted this? It sounds like he was predicting.
I didn't see him, but I heard he wrote some memos talking about pandemic. I didn't see him. I didn't look for him either. But that was about the same time as I felt that we should do it. That was about the same time that I closed it down.
So at the time, though, when Peter Navarro did circulate those memos, you were still downplaying the threat of coronavirus in the U.S. You were saying things like, I think it's a problem that's going to go away within a couple of days.
It will go away.
You said within a couple of days the cases will be down to zero.
Well, the cases really didn't build up for a while. But you have to understand, I'm a cheerleader for this country. I don't want to create havoc and shock and everything else, but ultimately, when I was saying that, I'm also closing it down. I obviously was concerned about it because I closed down our country to China, which was heavily infected. I then closed it down to Europe.
Do you feel like someone among your staff or Peter Navarro himself should have told you about the memo earlier?
No, it was a recommendation. It was a feeling that he had. I think he told certain people in the staff, but it didn't matter. I didn't see it, but I did. I closed it down. I don't remember it even being discussed. We had a meeting where there were a lot of people. Most people felt they should not close it down, that we shouldn't close down to China, but I felt we had to do it. And that was at almost the exact same time as the memo.
Okay, just a couple things, Mika. A couple things. First of all, the president, when he says he closed it down, then he was feeling the same thing. No, he wasn't feeling the same exact thing. And by the way, I got to keep going back to this. When he said he closed it down, he didn't close it down from China. You know, 430,000 people got into the United States from China from the time of this outbreak. And even after he claims to have closed it down, he put so many exemptions on the travel ban from China that about 40,000 people got from China to the United States after he supposedly closed it down with his toothless ban. He should have shut it down. And then Europe, he talks about Europe. He goes, well, and then later on I did Europe. You know what? His own administration was begging him to shut down travel from Europe. His own administration, you can talk about, oh, well, this is what the WHO said, oh, this is what. No, people in his own administration were begging him, I think it was the HHS secretary, to shut down travel from Europe at the same time that he had this toothless ban that shut down part of travel from China. But he and Steve Mnuchin said, no, we're not going to shut down travel from Europe. We're not going to shut down travel from Italy. It might hurt the economy. And so we're not going to do that. It might panic the markets. So we had to wait another 2 or 3 weeks until there actually was a ban from Europe, a ban from Italy, a ban from some of the most infected countries on the planet. So he's lying about shutting it down. And Mika, as far as, we don't need a cheerleader. We don't need a cheerleader. We don't need like Potsy or whoever the Happy Days cheerleader was. We don't need Potsy in the White House. We need a president of the White House that actually follows the advice of scientists, of doctors, of other people, Willie, who actually were warning the president starting on January the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, that a pandemic could be coming.
The president said of the Navarro memo, I didn't read it, but I basically did what the memo said anyway. He didn't do what the memo said. He had, as you say, the restriction on travel back to the United States, not for everybody, for some people from China. What those memos, what the pandemic playbook we're talking about is the preparation that comes before that pandemic arrives, which is stocking up on PPE, getting it to the hospitals in New York City. They're going to probably need it first. Getting the country ready, being honest with the country. Part of being a cheerleader for the country is saving the lives of the people. You can stay hopeful and optimistic and speak truth to the people. But here, actually, is what President Trump was saying about coronavirus and the outbreak around the times in late January when those Navarro memos were written.
Are the words about a pandemic at this point?
No, we're not at all, and we have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China, and we have it under control. It's going to be just fine. We have a total of 15 people. And they're in a process of recovering, with some already having fully recovered. We're at that very low level, and we want to keep it that way. So we're at the low level. As they get better, we take them off the list, so that we're going to be pretty soon at only 5 people. And we could be at just 1 or 2 people over the next short period of time. And again, when you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to 0, that's a pretty good job we've done.
So Willie, we played 2 clips there. The first clip was a couple days before the Navarro memo, when he was probably putting it together. That was the 22nd of January. And this is where the president said, oh, no, not worried about it at all. We got 1 person. Soon it's going to be gone. We played the second clip because it was almost a full month after the Navarro memo. Almost a full month after Peter Navarro told Donald Trump the administration, 500,000 people could die from this pandemic. We are woefully ill-equipped if we don't get what we need. 500,000 Americans could die.
And we could have gotten what we need.
And we could have gotten what we needed.
Ready.
We could have gotten the testing ready. We could have gotten the PPEs ready. We could have been prepared. We could have started social distancing earlier.
It was possible to save lives.
But a month later, the president says in that clip, it's 15 people. A month later, we only have 15 people, and soon it'll be down to 0. So bringing us back, because the president lies so much in these press conferences, I still, for the life of me, don't understand why the networks, including our own, allow Donald Trump to lie for 2 hours to the American people. If he were giving good information, that would be one thing.
Let us fact check them.
But it is a lie. So if this network or CNN or Fox is going to run him lying for 2 hours a night, they need a real-time fact checker. Because in this case, Willie, this was February the 26th when Donald Trump said only 15 people have it, and soon it's going to be down to 0. And, of course, that's, again, almost a full month after Peter Navarro wrote his memo, a memo that Donald Trump said, oh, I believe the same thing I was doing. No, he didn't. Even a month later, he thought it was about 15 people instead of 500,000 deaths.
Yeah, and there was a second Navarro memo, by the way, right around the time of that second clip we showed, which was more dire than the first, saying we've lost a month now, here's how bad it could be now, and it was even worse than the first memo. So it's actually twice as bad, even as you're describing. I will say I think some of the networks are figuring this out and adapting. I know we come out of it, and our anchor, whoever it is that day, runs down a list of what the president just said and sort of debunks, if it needs debunking, those facts. So there is some evolution there. I think that's a good thing. And I would just ask Jonathan Lemire now, because we know...
Hold on 1 second. We don't need glibness when we come out of a press conference from the president, or people rolling their eyes going, oh, my God, and so he said this. They get distracted sometimes. I'm not just talking about our network, all the networks. They get distracted by the ground noise. Can you believe the president said this? Can you believe he tweeted that? No, just get the facts. Get his quotes. Get the death toll.
There you go.
Get the people in his administration that were warning him from early January. Put up his words, not your words. We don't care what you have to say. We don't care about your editorializing in April. Get his quotes. Get his words. Get his statements. Get the fact that he's trying to stop Americans from voting in the election by mail. And then get where the president says, yeah, I voted by mail because I'm allowed to do it, but you're not. That's basically what he said. I'm sorry, Willie. I'll let you go to Jonathan Lemire right now, but these can't continue unless they have a serious fact checker that cuts in while the president is lying to the American people. If he gives facts, great. I'm all for it. I said from the beginning of this, we're all in this together. I said from the beginning, I want the president to succeed because when he succeeds, we succeed, and Americans don't die.
He's not
But
succeeding.
he's not succeeding. He's not trying to succeed. In fact, he's spreading misinformation. He's trying to cover up all the mistakes he's made over the past 2 months, instead of looking forward, trying to save senior citizens' lives in Florida, in Arizona, in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, in North Carolina, in the only states he actually gives a damn about. Go ahead, Willie. I'm sorry.